Glacier Resource Innovation Group's Reclamation Cost Estimator is a tool that evaluators can use to come up with the costs associated with a variety of tasks often required to mitigate conditions at an abandoned mine site. When the first screen comes up, you'll see a project list, which details projects you've worked on previously and saved, and a Create Project button. That's what we're going to do to demonstrate the operations of this program, is to create a new project. So we'll click on that button. When this screen appears, you'll notice a menu down the left-hand side. The first 3 items on that menu allow you to identify the project and locate it. The rest all access screens that'll allow you to estimate costs. It's important to note that each one of these menus has a submenu, and the items under these submenus are also divided into a variety of tasks. So let's work through a quick example to show you how the program works. We start with a project description screen. These are just a series of text entries that allow you to define the project. So we'll just enter a quick series of text values here. And after you enter things here, you'll notice up on the right there's a Save button. This button not only saves the data to a database, a data file that you can access later, but also initiates calculations, as you'll see on some of the other screens. Next, we'll enter some project data that'll help define where our project is. Let's say we're going to reclaim a site in Nevada in Lyon County. This tells the program where to look in its database for specific wage and supply information for that location. You also need to enter information about where the project is in relation to other services. Distance to support asks you to tell the program how far it is to a place where you can find laborers, procure supplies, and lease equipment. You also need to enter a distance to a dump site and a distance to a hazardous waste dump site. The program estimates values for almost everything and suggests them to you. Please know, though, that one of the important features of this program is that you can overwrite anything that the program suggests. In this way, you can very specifically tailor the project to your site, and you're not stuck with any of the suggested values that we come up with. We also need to know how long the project will take to close and how long we'll need to monitor the site after we've left. This closure project duration value helps the program figure out how many machines it will need to take to the site. Again, we hit the Save button. We'll go to our wages and supplies screen, which have been identified by our project site being in Lyon County, Nevada. So these are Davis-Bacon wages because the program originally is based on the assumption that the government will have to reclaim the site because it has been abandoned by the operator. So these are federally mandated wages. They're broken down into the wage itself and a fringe benefit. However, they do not include the typical burden that is required by the federal government, items like Social Security, Medicare, workers' compensation, unemployment insurance. Those are added by the program, however, in the final calculations. Also, we detail diesel, gasoline, electric power, and shop mechanic prices and wages, and again, you can overwrite anything that the program suggests. As you can see, these changes are identified by these triangles. Now let's see the real work that the program does. Let's say we need to dig some material out of a site and move it a short distance. we'll use our excavate stockpile option. For each one of these, there's a series of jobs that you can do that are similar. In this case, we can do 9 different excavate and stockpile tasks. That means if there's 9 different locations at your site that need to have material excavated and moved, we can break down each one of them so the costs are tailored to each one of those specific tasks. Let's see here we need to move the dirt that underlies an old tank site. We're going to use a bulldozer for this task, but please note that there are other machines available in the equipment database, and that for each one of these machines there's a variety of sizes available. We're going to choose an 11.4 cubic yard loader, back bulldozer to start with. When we select that machine, the program populates the operational parameters of that specific machine. So let's enter some information about the material we need to excavate and stockpile. Let's say the in-place density is 2,400 pounds per cubic yard, and that it swells 12%. Again, hitting save initiates some calculations, so we now have the excavated loose density of this material. Let's say we need to doze it for 50 feet to fill the blade, up a 2% gradient, and then we need to move it 400 feet down a minus 4% grade to place it where we need it to be. And let's say there's about 24,000 cubic feet of material that need to be moved. With this information in place, we hit save again. You can see that the program has estimated a cycle time for the machine, the number of hours it needs to work to do the job, and the labor required to complete the task. So our overall cost for this job is $50,915. A lot of our evaluators use this as a bit of a design and optimization tool. So let's say we're not sure we can get that big of a dozer out there, and we can only get an 8.9 cubic yard capacity machine to the site. You can see that that would increase the cost of the task by quite a bit, so let's hope we can get a smaller machine out there. We'll go back and select our 11.4 cubic yard dozer, and then we're going to add it to our fleet. This is an important feature of the program in that once you add a machine to the fleet, it will be available for other tasks. In this way, we can minimize our mobilization costs by using one machine to do several different jobs. To give you a little better example of what I mean by that, let's say we need to spread and contour the dirt that we just moved. So we go to the spread and contour screen. We come down here and select the bulldozer that we already have in our fleet. We can see it's our 11.4 cubic yard machine. All this information is the same as before. Let's go ahead and specify our material again. This time, let's say we just need 20 feet to collect the material and fill the blade on a level gradient. And on average, we're going to move it 400 feet. Again, on an almost level gradient. Remember, we moved and stockpiled 2,400 cubic yards of material. And so to level and smooth and contour our stockpile, will cost $41,414. All of the earthwork calculation screens are similar, so once you've done one screen, you'll have no trouble doing any of the rest. Most of these other screens are even a little simpler yet. Let's say we want to plant this site, do a little work on this site, the material that we've spread, and then plant some trees on it. So let's first say we need to scarify it, essentially rake the material to prepare it for planting. All we need to know is our surface area, how far we spread out our material that we moved. And let's say it's about a half an acre, and that it's a 2% side slope. Let's say that, the program suggests that it'll only take 4 passes to do this with an implement width of 12 feet, and it suggests that speed of the machine. But let's say it's a little rougher material and it's going to take 8 passes to fully prepare it for planting. That in mind, we hit save, and it estimates a cost of about $230 to do this work. So let's go and plant this site. Let's say we're going to use seed. And we're going to try to plant some tree seeds, maybe. How about some blue spruce? We're going to mechanically apply the seed to the ground. Remember, it was 0.5 acres. The program suggests an application rate of 7.5 pounds per acre. But let's say we're not sure that'll work, and we up that value to 25 pounds per acre. Let's save that again. And we'll see that this task takes about $2,280. As you can see, these screens are fairly straightforward, easy to use. They don't ask for much information. Let's also say, though, that there is a concrete slab out on the site that we need to demolish and get rid of. So we'll go to our foundations. We have a slab on grade. We'll say it's been reinforced by rebar, that it's 8 inches thick, 240 square feet of surface area, and we need to haul it to the dump site that we specified on our very first project data screen, so it's saying it's 36 miles. Here you'll see that the program has figured out the equipment needed: a front-end loader to pick up the material once it's broken, a truck to put it into to haul it away, hammers to break it up, and backhoes to break it up and stockpile it. We also have the crew requirements to do this job. Over here we have the hourly lease rates for each of these machines, and then of course the total cost over here, and then the wage information for each of these workers, which again were defined on our wages and data or supplies screen. And we have a total cost of $2,814. With that, we'll call our first project done here. You'll see you can make these as complicated or as simple as they need to be, reflecting conditions at your site and requirements. Let's go to our reports section. And we have a required bond value over here, but let's start here. You'll see we have the fleet laid out that we need at our site here, all the machinery and the sizes of machine. We have our crew requirements, which workers are needed, how long they'll be required to work on site. We'll have our mobilization requirements for the types of machines that can't get out there under their own power. A summary of the tasks that we just specified: moving the dirt, spreading it, seeding, removing the pad, and scarifying the site. And so the total cost of the work needed to do this, the actual on-site work, would be a little over $101,000. In addition to these costs, particularly if you're estimating the value of a bond, you'll need to consider some other factors which we've labeled overhead costs. Again, you can overwrite anything that the program suggests. So let's say we're much more uncertain of what the work will be required than we are letting on here, and that we should increase our contingency. And you'll notice that value increases proportionally. And with that, we have our required bond value up here. Excuse me, if you hit save first. So here's our final tally here of all our tasks, all the incidental cost, and the required bond value if you need it. The program permits you to print a full report, which includes all the information we've entered, plus all the information on this screen. And once you save it, it will report on that list that we saw on our first our first entry screen into the program. And you can call this up to work on it later, adjust values, edit it, add tasks, subtract tasks, anything you need to do.